So the unique thing about our elevated body temperature unit is, first, it's touchless. There's no need for any interaction, direct physical contact with the unit. And the next thing, when we selected the elevated body temperature sensor that we're using, it's reading out of the inner canthus of the eye. It is not reading skin temperature like many of the thermal cameras or handheld temperature sensors that you see. And the advantage of this is that it is reading true body temperature by the amount of blood flow that goes through the inner canthus of the eye. With the threat of COVID currently in businesses, everybody's trying to figure out how to come back and get their business operating in a safe manner. So we go in, meet with them directly, and come up with a way that we can use our EBT sensor in their business and have the ability to scan each of their staff members as they come into work to ensure a safe working environment.
So some of the HR considerations that we have had to grapple with at ProTELEC, and some HR considerations that are important with the purchase of CheckMate's EBT sensor, is in terms of policy creation. HR professionals will want to ensure that they have really clear and concise policy that speaks to an array of matters and considerations that come along with the EBT sensor. So when an elevated body temperature is detected, the largest consideration that HR professionals will need to determine in that policy creation is what happens to that individual when they are present on site and have an elevated body temperature. So your policy is going to want to speak to things in terms of who is notified, how is that information used, how is it collected, how is it stored, who will be notified in the event of an elevated temperature, and then what happens to that individual from there. Will they be required to isolate? Will they be required to submit to COVID testing?
So now I'm here at the EBT sensor, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how we work it out at ProTELEC to ensure that people who come into our office are safe. So if you look at the EBT sensor, and we're going to show you how it works in action, right now I'm going to go and I'm going to take a reading. I'm going to look into the little bulb here. It will take a reading of my body temperature. If my body temperature is deemed to be safe, that will allow me to then open the door access system, which we have connected to our EBT sensor. And if I were to have a positive reading, which means I had a high body temperature, this would actually negate this door access system from working. It would trigger a call from our monitoring station to a contact list in our HR department, and then our HR policies would kick in with respect to not allowing me in, giving me safety and privacy, and the protocols that we've put in place here at ProTELEC. So let me show you how this works. So I lean in. I'm green, which means I'm good to go. I then key into my door access system. Before I go in, our policy is to put our masks on. And now I'm ready to go.
Starting with the EBT unit installation where it's going to be deployed is only really the first step. Training of the staff on how they come in and use the unit, and should there be an actual positive reading of a high temperature, we have to have the companies have a policy in place on what their employees are to do should that occurrence happen.
You're going to want to ensure that you understand the privacy legislation in the various jurisdictions that you're operating in. Privacy legislation can change province by province, jurisdiction by jurisdiction, so you're going to want to ensure that you have a thorough understanding of the legislation surrounding privacy.
We see our unit coming in at a very positive price point. So a starting unit that is standalone can start as low as $2,000, and then with integration into card access systems, somewhere between $3,000 and $3,500. Compared to, yes, a handheld scanner is much more cheaper, but it requires human interaction. Somebody holding that unit and watching each person coming through and taking the scans. This has no need for somebody watching the unit. It's independent. and through our monitoring application, the notification goes out. So there's a large cost saving on labor and safety.